Hello and welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to our virtual classroom. Today, we're going to continue with percentages. We're going to continue with percents. Specifically, though, we're going to be given a percent, and we're going to use that percentage to either find the part or to find the whole, depending on what is given to us. So in other words, we're going to be given the percent and the part, which will mean that we're going to be looking for the whole, or we're going to be given the percent and the whole, which we will use to find the part. Now, please take special note of this pattern, of this template that we see up here. Notice that it should look similar. We have two fractions, and one of those fractions is for the percentage. And remember, a percentage or a percent can always be expressed as a number over 100. So that is that ratio, a number over 100. And that will be equivalent to a ratio made up of the part over the whole, of a part over the whole. All right, so let's begin with an example. Let us begin with an example. So right here it says, determine what 15% of 649 is. Determine what 15% of 649 is. And notice how I did color code this to kind of help us sort out some of this information, ladies and gentlemen. But remember that we do want to have this same template. Okay, percent over 100, part over whole. The first thing that I notice here, ladies and gentlemen, is that we're given a percentage. It literally says 15%. In some problems in the past, the question would literally ask, what is the percent? Or what percent is, et cetera, et cetera. We were looking for the percentage, but here, ladies and gentlemen, we're literally given what goes over 100. We're given the percentage. So as soon as I see that 15%, and I have my two fractions right here, ladies and gentlemen, I put 15 over 100. I put 15 over 100. Next, let me see some of the other clues that are given to me. Well, notice, ladies and gentlemen, how it says of 649. It doesn't say that 649 is 15%. Rather, 15%, we want to know what is 15% of 649. In other words, we're taking that from $649 in this case. If you remember from some of other lessons, we discuss how you can always put is over of, meaning the word is can often be associated with the part, and the word of can be associated with the whole. So similarly, right here, we're taking 50% of 649. So that would mean that 649 is our whole. So that goes on the denominator. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we can see that it's literally asking what is, okay? 15% is equal to what? So when I do set this up completely, ladies and gentlemen, we can see that the 100% or the 100 is on the denominator. So that is equal to 649, or 649 is 100%. 15% is equal to some part, or some part is 15% of 649. That's why it is set up in this way. You can think of it as the parts are always on the numerator and the wholes are always on the denominator. Okay, having done that, ladies and gentlemen, we've done our first step. And our first step is the same as with previous problems. We need to line up the equivalent ratios. We have just done that. We have two fractions. All right, those two fractions are right here. And the percentage is over 100. The percentage is over 100. And in this case, we can see that the part is over the whole. We may not know what the part is, but we know that 649 is the whole. Now, before I continue, let's add some context to this problem. All right. So it says determine what 15% of $649 is. Let us suppose that you went into Best Buy and you wanted to purchase, I don't know, like a new game console, like a PS5, or maybe like an Oculus VR headset or something like that. And the original price was $649. However, right above the price, it says 15% off. It's 15% off. Now, some people might think, well, doesn't that mean we take $15 off of $649? No, it's not $15, it's 15%, which means that I first need to figure out what is 15% of 649. What is 15% of 649? And that is precisely what we're trying to figure out here. We know that 100% of the price, the original price is $649. 15% is something. We do not know what that something is, which is why I'm using an X. The X means I don't know what that number is. We're trying to figure it out. All right, now that we lined it up, ladies and gentlemen, we can follow the process that we've done here in the past, the next two steps. So we lined it up. Number two, we are going to cross multiply. And then number three, we're going to divide. Right? It's Once you set it up, and that is why this is the most important step, because once you set it up, ladies and gentlemen, all you need to do is cross multiply and then divide by the number next to the letter, next to the variable. So let's go ahead and do that. So we are given 649 times 15. So I'm going to do that cross product. So that's 649 times 15. And when I work that out, I do end up getting 9,735. Okay. And next, ladies and gentlemen, I have 100x. All right, so 100x, that just means 100 times something. And so I'm just going to leave that as 100x. All right, so I've done my second step. I have my cross products. That gives me 9,735 on one side. I have the equal sign still here, and then 100x on the other. And what's cool about this second step is that once you do it, you get a hint as to what to do in the third step, which is to divide. And we're always going to divide by the number that ends up being next to the variable. In this case, ladies and gentlemen, notice that we have 100 next to the x. So I need to divide 9,735 by 100. And when I do that, ladies and gentlemen, that gives me my answer. Now, dividing by 100 is super easy. It's the same as taking the decimal of whatever number you're working with and moving it over 2 times to the left. You can actually work it out if you want to, but that means that my missing part, the part is $97.35. Now, let me quickly recap that, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, number one, we set up our ratio. We put 15 over 100, and we were given the whole, so I put that on the denominator. We're looking for the part, okay? I then cross multiplied. Okay, I had 15 times 649, which gave me 9,735. So that goes on this side. And then we had 100 times x, all right, which gave me 100x. Now, really what we're doing is we are multiplying the numbers that you can across. And after you do that, you end up dividing by the number that did not have a number to multiply with. All right, that's why I said we are always going to divide by the number next to the variable. So basically, we multiply these two, and then we divide by 100. Why by 100? Because that is the number that we would be multiplying with the missing part. All right, so 9,735 equal to 100x. So we end up dividing by 100 because that's next to the variable. 9,735 divided by 100 gives us 97 and 35 hundredths. Now, this is not a percentage. Remember, we already have the percent. We know 15%, but 15% is equal to what? Well, 15% of 649 is $97.35. So that means that since the VR headset is going to be discounted 15%, that does not mean that the price is $97.35. That means that you would subtract $97.35 from the original price, being 649. So to find the new price, you would simply need to subtract 649 minus $97.35. So you would subtract $97.35 from the original price, and that would give you the new price. All right. So just bear that in mind as you're doing some of these problems. Okay. All right. Let's do another example. Let us do another example. So in this example, it says 28 is 35% of what number? 28 is 35% of what number? Well, ladies and gentlemen, notice that it already tells us 28 is 35%. 28 is, okay, that's the part. It didn't say 28 is the total or 28 is the whole or even 28 is 100%. No, it literally says 28 is 35%. So when I set my two fractions, ladies and gentlemen, remember our first step is always to line up the two fractions. I know that 28 is a part because 28 is 35%. Now the question is, well, what is 100%? Well, we don't know. Okay, 35%, so that's immediately over 100. And look at what the question says, of what number? We don't know of what number we're taking 35%. We don't know what 28 is a part of, okay? So now that we've set it up, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've lined it up, let's do number two. Let us go ahead and cross multiply. So we're gonna do 100 times 28, which gives us the 2,800, yeah, 28 and 2 zeros. And the other side, we have 35x, so that's gonna be 35x. However, by now, some of you guys will have already noticed, well, since I was able to multiply 28 times 100, that means that I'm going to have to divide by 35. And that's right. That's the number next to the variable next to the letter. So I'm going to divide by 35, which over here, that just cancels. But I need to do 2,800 divided by 35. Now, that may seem difficult, ladies and gentlemen, but when you actually work that out, you get 80. You get 80. Because 2,800 divided by 35, 35 cannot go into 2 or 228, but it goes into 280 exactly 8 times. So that'd be 280. And then we bring down the last 0, and 35 goes into 0 times. So, ladies and gentlemen, that means that 28 is 35% of 80. 80 is my whole. Another way to look at this is that 28 out of 80, or 28/80ths, is the same thing as 35 over 100. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, that in these problems, the two that we did, you couldn't just have divided 35 by some whole number to get 28. So sometimes you will, in some of the problems that you're going to see later, you will be able to just divide or multiply by some nice whole number. But just know that cross multiplying and dividing, once you set it up, always works. So, ladies and gentlemen, pay special attention to how you set it up, line it up correctly, then just cross multiply and then divide by the number next to the letter. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you found this helpful. And with that in mind, I will see you next time.